Hi, I'm Marcia Lehman and I'm a Knox County Master Gardener. Today we're going to be pruning a Limelight Hydrangea. Now, Limelight is one of the most popular varieties of Hydrangea Paniculata. There are other varieties, but Limelight is probably the most common, and that's what we're working on today. It blooms on new wood, so it gets pruned late winter while it's dormant. And as you can see, we have all the spent flowers from last year. Some folks like to deadhead those. Frankly, I like them for a little bit of winter interest. You never want to take hedge trimmers to a Limelight Hydrangea. It's tempting to come out and just kind of give it a haircut. That's not the thing we want to do. This one is going to need a fair amount of work, and we'll zoom in on that in a moment. And if you've watched my other videos, you know that I normally like to start at the bottom and work my way up. But because we have so many of these blooms and stems, and I'm concerned about them getting in my way, I'm actually going to start by removing some of these, and then we can focus in on the work that gets done, then going back and working from the bottom up. We will be taking a lot of material out of this. The Limelight is a fast grower, and so it needs really a rather hard pruning each and every year. And that hard pruning then stimulates growth, and all the blooms come on new growth. So the first time you do it, it's going to be a little scary. Hopefully you won't be as scared after you watch this video. So let me get rid of my clipboard, get a copy of the handout for the pointers that you want to remember, but let's get started. I've cut everything back to about waist height. If we can just pan this direction a little bit, here is the pile of all the stems I took off. Now, coming back to the shrub itself, now that I've got everything back to about waist height, one of the advantages of taking those off first is I can look straight down in here. You can't see that, but I can see that. So the next thing I'm going to do is to start to take off things that are growing straight through the center. Now, you see this thing comes out in the front, but in fact it is attached on the back here. And so we don't want that. So I'm going to take off all the things that, looking down from the top, are growing through the center. And at some point I'm going to have to get the loppers out. But we don't want anything going through the center of the shrub. We really want to end up with a couple of major stems that are kind of like taking your fingers and pointing them up, and then as it grows it will fill in again. But we don't want anything growing into the center. So I'm focused on cleaning out the center. I want to be able to look straight down in here and not see any stems. And like this one runs around through the center. Anything shaped like this is not going to hold up to that great big panicle flower. So we want nice sturdy stems. We don't want these spindly curvy things. So that's what I'm going to do next, and we'll shut off the camera while I do that. We did shift positions because it's trying to rain. So you're seeing this from a different perspective so we can keep the camera equipment dry. I've cleaned out all the little spindly stuff. That's stuff that's like an eighth, less than the size of, say, a number 2 pencil, because that's not strong enough to hold one of these big panicle flowers. Now, we've shortened it just to get all that stuff out of our way. We've taken out the spindly stuff. We've taken out the stuff that crossed through the center, but I still have way too many stems here. So what we're going to do now is I now need to reduce how many stems I have here. And what I really want to get back to is about 5 major stems, and then each of those might have another branch or 2 on them. So I'm still looking at, for instance, I've got a major stem here that comes up with 2 branches. I'm not sure I really want both of those, but rather than take it off and then not be able to put it back on, I'm going to selectively remove this one. That thins it out a little bit, and I may come back and take another 1 or 2. This needs to be cleaned up, but here I'm thinking this whole thing probably needs to come out at the ground. It comes up and it's got 4 branches on it, but there are actually 2 better branches on the outside. So I may need to come in with my saw and make a lower cut, but for now I'm going to take it off where I can with the loppers, and I'll come back and clean it up in a moment. Now I see that this one wants to come off of here and come back in towards the center. So we'll get rid of that. And this one grows through the center. I'll take that off. And then I'll move around here a little bit. And now we've got, here's a major stem, here's a major stem. This is just too crowded. And the question is, which one of those do I want to keep? I think I want to keep this one that has 2 rather than this one. So again, I'm going to make the cut where I can with my loppers, and I'll come back with my saw a little later and cut it lower. Right now I'm trying to get the shape. Then I've got this one that kind of comes straight up. I've got this one that comes through here, and this is, I think that we're going to take this off completely. And I'm really kind of pushing the limits of my loppers at this point. There we go. So I will have some cleanup to do. But now I still have this. This one crosses. We'll get rid of that. And now that I can get access, I can clean up some other things that I couldn't get before. This one comes out low along the ground. This is in the back. You probably can't see it real well, but it was growing out along the ground and actually starting to put down roots. If you want another limelight, take that cutting and put it in a pot and let it grow. Let's take that one. And now here I've got some stuff that still wants to cross, and we're just going to take that off down here at the bottom. I've got a rubbing one here. Come around here. That one is still small enough that I can get with the hand pruners, but it's a tight squeeze. And when it's a tight squeeze, just make the best cut you can, as low as possible. And let's take that off. So now I'm down to, I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 8 major stems, which is probably more than I want. And now it's really decision time. This one is not coming from the base. This one is trying to root like that other one. So we're going to take that. We're going to try and keep this plant in one spot and not let it spread. Okay. We're looking a little better. Got a little much. This wants to grow way out. We want these to be a little more upright. So I'll take that off. We'll take this off. And we'll clean up this. And every year, even on my own shrubs, I find I'm cleaning up some stubs that I left in old pruning. And it may have been I just couldn't get my pruners in there then, but now I can. So we're creating space. This one grows across, so we'll take that out. This one grows down low. We really want them kind of coming up, so we're going to shorten these a little bit more, and I think that's the point. I'm going to shut the camera and do just a little bit of cleanup, and then I'll come back and we'll show you how we shorten and counting some buds. We've cleaned up, and I came back and used a saw to reduce some of those things that I couldn't get quite low enough with my loppers. Now we're down to, I've got major stems. There's still a little bit of thinning to do, but I'm going to do that thinning as we do the last step, and that is, if we can zoom in, I don't know how good an image we can get, but when you look at a stem, you can see bud scars, which is each year's growth. So these thicker stems are older by definition. So on this particular one that I'm holding, if we come down here, here's the first bud scar, here's the second one, here's the third one. And we're going to cut these back to have at most 3. So I'm going to cut that one at the third, right above the third scar. And that's what I'm going to do as I come around to each of these. And depending on how they interact with each other, I may make them shorter or longer. So this one right behind it would be about the same height if I do it at the second scar. This one coming out the back, there's 1, here's 2. I'm going to take that at 2. And I have found that 2 is where I'm normally making the cut. There's 2. I'll do these ones in the front that you can see best. And then this one comes up. Here's 1, here's 2. And then, you know, I'm looking at this and saying, well, that really wants to grow out. So I'm just going to take that off completely, because I still have this and this. Now, come around to here. Here's 1, 2. This one, I was thinking of 3, but I'll take it at 2. 1, 2. This is a pretty straight one. Here's 1, 2. This one I'll take it 3, but we may come back and decide to shorten that. 1, 2. I'll take it at 3, and then we'll stand back and see how it looks. 1, 2. That one definitely goes at 2. And once you become familiar with what you're looking for, these things are really easy to find. And here it is, the end of January, and you can see the vegetative buds starting to form at each of those. So it's been warm enough, it now wants to leaf out. 1, 2, that one's at 3. Let me take it back to 2. 1, 2, I'll take this one at 3 for starters. And 1, 2, take that one at 2. Yep, got a little cleanup to do. There and there. And now I've got this that wants to grow out the back, but if I count 1, 2, that's still kind of straight. That may, as we say, straighten up and grow right. And we'll take this one at 2. And so now, whoops, I got this one yet. The first one is rather low, so there's 2, here's 3. This one I'll take at 3. And then, when I get all this out of the way, you can see we don't have anything crossing or rubbing. I probably could thin just a little bit more, but I'm going to stop at this. If you recall what this looked like at the beginning, it was taller than me. We had all the spent blooms hanging off the top, and this is now between my knee and the hip. So this is maybe 30 inches tall compared to we started at well over 6 feet. It was taller than me. So this is a Limelight Hydrangea. It is one variety in the Hydrangea Paniculata species. Obviously, you know, one of the other varieties is called Peewee. Peewee isn't going to get as big as a Limelight, but it would get pruned similarly, just proportionally. So that's Limelight Hydrangea. I hope you learned something today. I hope you're not scared to go do a hard pruning on yours, and thank you for joining us.